Right out.
That's exactly, it's coming along fast.
One of your neighbors is having a water issue in his backyard.
He's been having issues.
I think it's a civil issue.
Okay, Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, it's 2 minutes after 7. Let's get this meeting started. Roll call, please.
Yanni?
Here.
Casanello?
Here.
Pater? Here. Larson?
Here.
Schneider? Ramirez?
Here.
Leak?
Here.
Okay, we'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now we're to the invocation. We got Pastor Mark Brady from Park Valley Church. Welcome.
It is always a blessing to be here. I just love you guys to pieces, and I am thankful that we live in the greatest town in the United States of America. We have the greatest representation of our police force and town council. We just thank you for everything you do. For your service and sacrifice. My wife and I, we benefit from your sacrifice, so I thank you for that. And the most precious time, or the most precious thing we have is our time. We've always said, how do you spell love? T-I-M-E. So by you all sacrificing, this incredible community benefits. So we're celebrating 20 years of the church this year. God's been so good. For some reason, he's shown his favor, but I think if you're kind to people, you love people, try to meet people with the resources that God's blessed you with, and just don't judge anyone, I think that's a good recipe. And I see that in the characteristics of you all here. So thank you for what you do. So let's pray. God, I thank you for your love for us. Lord, just thank you for this town of Haymarket. I'm honored that I get to be a part of it. My wife is a part of it. We get to experience just the fruits of just the beauty and the people, and we just thank you for that. I thank you for the wisdom of this board for this year, Lord, that you would just continue to use them, and they would use their discernment that you've given them to make right choices. And ultimately, those right choices would be predicated on them following you, and we thank you for that gift. Thank you for everyone that's here tonight, Lord. I pray a blessing upon their families, marriages, for our kids, and Lord, we just thank you for what you're doing. And Lord, just everything tonight would be for your glory. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. That was wonderful. Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the public hearing. I guess we'll open that up with the notice.
Notice is hereby given provided pursuant to Section 58.1-3321 of the Code of Virginia that the town of Haymarket, Virginia proposes to decrease property tax levies for the fiscal year 2023-24. Assessment increase. Total assessed value of real property, excluding additional assessments due to new construction or improvements to property, exceeds last year's total assessed value of real property by 9.45%. Lowered rate necessary to offset increased assessment. The tax rate, which would levy the same amount of real estate tax as last year when multiplied by the new total assessed value of real estate with the exclusion mentioned above, would be 0.111 per $100 of assessed value. This rate will be known as the lower taxed rate. Effective rate decrease. The town of Haymarket proposes to adopt a tax rate of no more than the rate of 0.111 per $100 of assessed value. The difference between the current tax rate of 0.115 per $100 and the proposed rate would be 0.004 per 100, or 3.99%. This difference will be known as the effective tax rate decrease. Individual property tax may, however, increase at a percentage greater than or less than the above percentage. Proposed total budget decrease based on the proposed real property tax rate and changes in other revenues. The total budget of the town of Haymarket will decrease last year's by a deficit of 3.2%. This public hearing on the decrease will be held on May 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Haymarket Town Hall, 15,000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia 20169, by the order of the town of Haymarket Town Council.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, this opens up citizens' time on the public announcement. Do we have any citizens out there who want to comment on this tax decrease? Do we have any emails?
No, sir.
Okay, then the next thing on the list would be closing this session and moving forward. Okay. So that opens up the next item, which is citizens' time for our regular meeting. Do we have any takers out there? See some faces, but nothing?
Well, I'm not a citizen anymore, but I'm here for an announcement relating to World Flags for Heroes, whatever that's.
Yep.
Citizens' time. You can go in citizens' time.
You can go in citizens' time if you want. Please approach. Give us your name and your basic address.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Good evening. I'm Rich Luttrell. I'm President-elect of the Gainesville Haymarket Rotary Club. And our President, Don McMillan, couldn't be here this evening, so he asked that I come in his place. And I'm also Chairman of the 2023 Flags for Hero program that we're doing here. And I want to express our gratitude to the town of Haymarket for their continual involvement. It's been many years in this wonderful program. And this year's ceremony will be on June the 10th, Saturday at 5 p.m. Probably be a duration of about 60 to 75 minutes. We're really looking forward to it. We're lining up sponsors. I brought brochures. We've gone high tech, so we've got a QR code on there, so you can scan that, and we get different sponsorship levels. $50 is Purple Heart. You don't actually buy a flag. You sponsor a flag, and then we laminate for the honoree their name, information, and the recipient or their family can place it on a flag of their choice at that ceremony date. It's a wonderful program. We got a great lineup of speakers. We have this gentleman, Magruder, who will do Old Glory for us once again, music. So really looking forward to it. I can leave these here for you. And it's my pleasure to answer any questions you might have at this time, if there are any.
Go ahead.
Hi, Rich. How are you?
Very well. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Could you please remind us of the deadline for sponsoring the flag?
Yeah, it's the 17th. Let me double check that. Of May. Oh, no. Please return. I'm way off. Please return no later than May 26th. If you don't want to use QR codes too, there's you can do it the old-fashioned way and just write a check or submit a Visa information, card information on here. These are pretty well put together, and I can leave them wherever it's appropriate to do so. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm assuming these flyers have all the information, but I know in the past you've done like a walk.
We're not going to do that this
sponsorship
year. We decided not to go that way with that event. It's I think there were logistics involved, and when we looked at just the viability of it and the whole concept of it, and we decided not to go in that direction this year. And these are quite informative. Also, on our Gainesville Haymarket website, ghrotary.org, which is on here, you can see a whole lot of information about the whole program as well as the event itself. Yes, ma'am.
May I say another note? Sorry.
No, please.
Please do.
The definition of a hero, not necessarily just our military service, but any first responders, teachers, anyone that you might view as a hero.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. I was remiss and meant to do so. It doesn't have to be military. It can be law enforcement. It can be healthcare. It can be fire and emergency. It can be an educator. It can be a person that just you want to recognize because they're awesome. So it's not restricted to military folks. Thanks so much for that.
Can it be vice mayors?
Yes. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you being our partner on this. It means the world. It's a beautiful program. It really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I leave these anywhere for you all?
Excellent.
Okay. Anyone else? Any emails? Okay. So we'll move on then. Right now we're going to a community spotlight for the Willing Warriors. Welcome.
There you go. Bring Larry up with you.
Right, Mayor and council members, thank you for allowing me to come here tonight. I'm Sarah Ford, Executive Director of Willing Warriors, and we are here tonight today is the first day of Military Appreciation Month. So it is an honor to be here on this day to honor our military members and share with you about what we do at the Warrior Retreat. With me this evening is Chef Larry Ziliox. He is your 2019 Haymarket Hometown Hero. I don't know if you remember that, but Fox News came when they did their special series here in our hometown and declared Larry our hometown hero. So it was fitting for Larry to be here with us tonight. I want to share with you what we have going on at the retreat. I don't know if you all are familiar with what we do and what we have going on, but we provide cost-free week-long respite stays for our wounded, ill, and injured, active duty, as well as veteran service members. The Warrior and up to 9 other family members or battle buddies come to the retreat for their stay. The main purpose of our stays are to be impactful for the family and to be healing for the Warrior. We bring the Warrior from Walter Reed, from Fort Belvoir, or from another military treatment facility, or even in the community where they're going through a lot of medical appointments. But we bring them to the retreat so they can stay with their family, be under the same roof with their family. So they're not in that hospital room and the family is staying in the Fisher house in an apartment close by. They're there together under the same roof, get to live as a family, have meals together, do family activities together, and reestablish those family bonds, which quite often are broken, especially for our warriors that are undergoing months, if not years, of rehabilitation therapies. So we want the warrior to know that their family is not better off without them, because unfortunately that's a main indicator of military member and veteran suicide. So we want them to come together to reconnect, to feel those bonds, to do the things that they love to do, right, before the injury, and to just know that there's a better path forward and better days are ahead. When the warriors come, as Chef Larry can tell you about, we have a visiting chef program where they're treated to this wonderful gourmet 5-star meal. We have the Presidential Food Service team that comes from the White House every Saturday night to our PenFed home, and we'll cook for the warrior and family members. At our second home, the Lang House, we have visiting chef teams. It could be the chef team from the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Joint Chief of Staffs, just wonderful, wonderful chef teams that come for our families. They also get a family photography session, all free of charge, because for many of them, they haven't had family photos taken forever. The warrior might have been on a deployment almost a year, then the injury, then therapies and so forth, and it's been years since they've all been together. We also have activities, and providers right here in Haymarket, right here in this community, have stepped up. We have massage therapists that'll come to the retreat. We have different holistic services and facilities here in Haymarket that will come to our warriors, or the warriors can come to their businesses here to get some holistic treatments. But the community has really come together and rallied to support our warriors and support the retreat. And we're just so grateful for everyone here, for all of your support and the support of this community, because it's our volunteers and it's our community that really makes the retreat happen. Last year, we had over 14,000 volunteer hours at the retreat. And that is from citizens right here that have stood up and said that they wanted to help out and come together in support of our families. we have beautification days, one Saturday a month. Our next one is coming up May 27th. And the retreat, the grounds are open to the public at that time for community members to sign up on our Sign Up Genius page through our website and come out to the retreat and volunteer and help out. And it's also a great time, if you haven't been to the retreat, to come get a tour, because the facilities are open. Both homes that we have there are open to come get a tour of the retreat. We currently have 2 homes on the property. We have 37 acres, 2 homes. We host 1 family at a time in each home. We are building a 3rd home. It's going to be called the Grand Lodge. We are very close to physically breaking ground. We had a ceremonial groundbreaking. We're waiting on this last permit to get through, and we will be officially ready with the heavy equipment. But we will be opening that next year. So by this time next year, we hope to be hosting families, and we'll be able to increase our capacity and also host more programs. We've seen a big need, a big shift for more programs for warriors, such as PTS counseling services. We've been hosting groups of female military sexual assault survivors, and other groups and other programs that our veterans need, especially veterans here in this community. Financial literacy training for our veterans, job skill up training for our veterans. We'll be able to host those programs in the retreat because we're going to have a large multi-purpose activity space within the retreat home. So we'll be able to host groups and to increase our capacity to provide programs to our veteran families. So we're very excited about that. Can't wait for that to happen. But want you all to know about that, because we really, like I said, we really value your support and what Haymarket has done for the retreat, what you all do to keep us going. And we know bigger and better things are still yet to come. So I want to thank you, and I'll bring up Larry to say a few words. Larry's member of an important program, the Veteran Suicide Coalition. And so I wanted him to mention that, and then a few things as well.
So this is my 11th year with the organization, and it's really just grown immensely. I can remember being out there remodeling the house, thinking I was going to die and they were going to bury me in a ditch. It was 102 degrees we were digging, and now we're just waiting to dig on $1 million Grand Lodge, which is going to be a real game changer for us. One of the things that happened when we first opened the facility was that we were really naive, and we thought, well, if you build it, they will come. And we didn't know there was a battalion of lawyers standing in between us and the warriors. And it took a long time to get warriors out there. It took a long time to convince the commands that it was a safe place for their warriors to come, and that we weren't going to use their warriors for marketing and to make money and to do things like that. Since we've opened, we've served over 1,900 veterans and active duty service members and their families. We're now really looking forward to the Grand Lodge, because we're really starting to become involved in a lot of different type of community programs. One is we are very proud to be one of the founding organizations of the Northern Virginia Veteran Suicide Coalition, because it has always been one of our premier objectives at the retreat is to surreptitiously convince the warrior that their family is not better off without them. Very often they come to us in very dark places, and we've had a number of warriors self-identify to suicidal ideations where they said, well, I just wanted my family to have a nice vacation before I took my own life. And everything we do is geared towards convincing them that that's not a permanent solution to a temporary problem, is not the way to go. And so we're very excited to be working with a number of groups, the VA, and serving together Nova Vets and a number of other groups in this brand new organization. A couple of other projects and programs we're very excited about is we're going to be teaming up with the chaplaincy at Fort Belvoir to start a very new program on moral injury for soldiers, not just those who are wounded warriors and part of the soldier recovery unit, but any combat soldier who may have PTS or issues resulting from moral injury Captain Wooten at Fort Belvoir is coming out and bringing out a group of single soldiers, and we will host those groups throughout the year. The other organization we're very excited about is the Wakefield School in the Plains. They have a number of kids out there who have started a program, a nonprofit called the 957 Project. And that project is a result of them learning about 9/11. And they decided that at the exact moment that the passenger Todd Beamer said, "Let's roll," that was the start of the war on terrorism. And that was 9:57 a.m. And around that, they now have a podcast, and they interview veterans about why they entered their service after 9/11 and what it was like for them. And it's a great program. They also have a whole curriculum built around it, which I think we are doing a summer camp based on their curriculum, which will be taught by veterans at the Warrior Retreat. The other thing we're pretty excited about is that we have a podcast now, a weekly podcast that I do from the retreat about what goes on at the retreat and also about a number of veteran issues.
Thanks, Larry. And I want to leave you on this note. As Larry mentioned, we've actually hosted now, we've surpassed the 2,000 mark as far as 2,000 warriors and guests at the retreat. And so happy to report not a single life has been lost to suicide for those warriors and family members that have stayed here at our retreat. So that's the statistic we're most proud of and what we keep striving to attain and achieve. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
You guys
you.
are doing a great job.
Thank you.
It's just a
Appreciate it.
Great organization. Good to see you, Larry.
Thank you.
Oh, I actually have a question.
Yes.
Would you be open to hosting us for a tour of the facility?
Absolutely. Would love to.
Okay, wonderful. Maybe we could arrange something like that.
May 27th,
you.
Beautification Day.
Sure.
Right?
If
It's an
that,
open
we don't want to
house, right?
impose if you guys had, if you wanted to have like a certain Q&A with us too about like how the town can support you or that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
we'd love-
I already wrote down the beautification day just in case,
Well,
but,
bring your gloves on May 27th.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would be a great time. Or if you just want to come just to take a dedicated tour of the property and meet the staff and founders, Shirley and John Dominic, would love to set that up for y'all to come and meet with them too. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we got community garden update. Nadia, please.
That was pretty powerful. This is not going to be. They do great work. We support them. They're wonderful. So thank you for having me this evening to update you about the garden this year. A lot going on already. And I do need to start off by saying thank you for your continued support, everyone in council, on the council, staff in town. Everyone's just been wonderful and really been enjoying the opportunity to have a garden there at the park. So a couple things that I just want to touch on as far as the update goes. The first one is farmers markets. I just met Rachel finally today. I was able to stop in and meet her. And I do plan on doing some pop-ups at the farmers market this summer, some educational events, maybe once a month or so, just to educate people that the garden is there, do some garden education with the kids, and continue to promote the garden and its benefits for everybody. So in terms of the calendar of events, we've already been using the garden this summer. About 2 weeks ago, I held a workshop for the kids to learn about beneficial animals in the garden. It was wonderful. We had 7 kids attend, and their families ended up staying, and it was a really beautiful time. After the lesson, the parents stayed with the kids and worked on their toad homes and bird baths, and it went much longer than I thought it was going to, and so it was really rewarding to see them enjoying the space and as a family enjoying the time together. So I will definitely be doing more workshops like that over the summer. We've already had a work day to prepare for our opening, which is going to be May 10th. And I'm very excited about opening and collaborating with Tracy and Mary on that event. It'll be from 4 to 7. It's for the community. Please come, please spread the word. It'll be an open house style event where people can come and plant, have an opportunity to help us plant the garden. We'll have crafts for kids, some dessert treats, and some gifts that will be given to people that attend, and it's really just a way for us to welcome everyone and kick off the season. And then throughout the summer, I do have specific events in July and August for adults and kids, but I think the biggest change in terms of events this year is that I'll be doing more weekly pop-ups and meetups throughout the week at different times. I'll be doing one around lunchtime, one probably after school, and then if those go well, I might add in a weekend, but really just to help educate people and be in the garden and help them become familiar with the model, and that the garden is there for them to access and be able to create more of a community around the space. So those are the, and it'll also be time that I can also use for education, because we'll be in the garden kind of, walking around, talking, working together. So it'll be an informal way to grow the educational piece of the space. I'm calling this community relations because we are growing in such a way that it's become apparent to me that that being there and working together with people will help not only enrich the space, but also enrich their understanding of the space. Towards the end of last year, we had a lot of instances of kids running into the garden and just sort of using it as an extension of the playground. And I, if I may just candidly, I get it from a parental perspective that you're at the park and you see your kid go down to the garden and you've got eyes on your kid and so you know where they are and they're safe, but they're also not being monitored while they're there. And so we're having some digging and some destruction of some garden features. And I really feel like a lot of it is just education about what the space is for and how to be in the garden. And so, so the way I'm going to approach that this year is I've ordered some signage that I will share with you that will be on the garden. When people enter the garden, there'll be a garden guidelines, which is really just expectations so that we can all continue to enjoy the garden. So it's things like what you can harvest, only harvest the fruits and stems, as opposed to, we had some instances of people coming in and taking the whole plant with them, which, if they need it, I want them to have it. I just don't want that to be the standard practice. And these are just learning, these are just learning things that happen when you have a community garden. Things like returning the tools and the supplies to the garden camp, just setting those sort of expectations, because the vision is that the garden is open all the time and that it's accessible to people, right? So with the garden guidelines, and then also, some just small tasteful signage that just lets people know that the plants are growing, and that'll be, before the plants are ready to harvest, I'll have that there so that they have that understanding that it's not yet ready to harvest. And then when it is ready to harvest, we will change out that sign, and then we'll add some educational educational information there about how to harvest it, what are the benefits, what can you do with it, in cooking if it's something that you've never seen before. So really just kind of enriching the space with that sort of information, I think will be really, really helpful and help people kind of get their bearings when they're coming into the garden, because it is a much different model in terms of a community garden than what people normally see. So those things will be going up. Also, we've created a specific play area for the kids. So I brought in a new raised bed, a little 4x4 raised bed. It's got soil and some flowers in there, and I moved some of the fairy garden elements that the kids have brought in, which I love that they see that place as a place to imagine and play. But we've moved that space specifically to their own little bed where they can dig and imagine and do their do all their things, and then maybe that will distract them from not doing it where the plants are growing. And then also, as I mentioned, those weekly pop-ups I think are going to be really important, doing them after school and doing them at noon when the preschool gets out next door, because that's an opportunity for me to be in the garden with the kids and do garden walks and talk about what's going on in the garden and things, and just help them orient themselves. I think it'll go a long way, but those are some major changes that I have planned for this year to just kind of keep things going in that regard. And yeah, so that about sums it up. I am hopeful that the signage and me being in the garden, and also expanding my volunteer network, and empowering those garden stewards to, when they're in the garden, to help people understand and learn about being in the garden will help and will resolve those sorts of issues. If on the off chance they don't, then I would welcome a meeting with members of council to just kind of brainstorm maybe a way to educate parents who are at the playground that the garden is something that they should visit, but it's not an extension of the playground. But I'm hopeful that this, addresses that. So, I'm really excited about the summer. We have a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of excitement around the May 10th event. I've been talking with people as I'm there at the garden. They're very excited about it and the programs that we have planned. So unless you have questions or requests for me, that's what I have planned for the summer.
I'm super excited.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Any questions?
Nadia, do you think that you'll be able to get us like a calendar of events for this specific location that we could advertise like on our website and on social media?
I would love to do that, and yes.
Okay.
The events are not coming to me as far in advance as I would like them to.
Sure, I can understand.
If it were up to me, I would have a calendar from now until September, and I would be able to hand it to you. And they're evolving a little bit, a little more organically than that. Sure. So I definitely will keep in touch on that. And like the May 10th event, I will be sending some communications to Kim to be posted and be able to get the word out on that. And then the farmers market days and other things like that, I'll make sure to get to this. So thank you for that. I appreciate your support in that. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for your presentation. And thanks for your volunteering.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
And for the creative thinking, problem solving.
Thank you. I think it'll work. I think it'll make a difference.
I think so too.
If I could introduce Rachel real quick.
please.
Okay. Council, with us tonight is our new employee, Rachel. Rachel, if you want to give them a wave. Rachel started with us last week. She is our new part-time events coordinator. So we unfortunately had to cancel the farmers market this past weekend because of the heavy rains and the wind. But she'll be at the market this coming Sunday, and we'll do our training there. But she's with us usually on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So feel free to reach out to her, pop in, get to know her, chat with her. But she will be working on all of our events as well as some of our social media posting for our events, our community events such as Nadia's items that she'll be doing up at the park. And then she'll also be helping Chief out with a couple of his events that he'll be doing for the community. So all things community and event related, Rachel's on it. So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce her to you guys tonight and encourage you guys to pop in and meet with her this week and say hello, if you haven't already done so. I know some of you have already met her.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next on the list, we have Gainesville District Supervisor Report.
Dun, 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 dun.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Crum. As promised you, I'd give you an update come budget season, and I'm going to do that. But first, my senior staff. Don't need much introductions here. Rebecca Bear is my chief of staff. Jen is the deputy. They're the gatekeepers. If you want to get to me, you got to go through them.
What is that, like Haldeman and Ehrlichman, or?
Budget season for me is over. Glad to see you guys took a few of my cues on this one. Kind of a mixed bag, good news, bad news sort of thing. With respect to real property taxes, they're going to be dropped down to 966. And the fire levy is dropping a little bit too, so you should experience a, for lack of a better term, flat tax bill. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Supervisors Lawson, Vega, Bodie, and Bailey for making that possible by voting along with me to raise this computer and peripherals tax to $215. Were it not for that increase to $215 from $1.80, it would not have been possible for the county exec to offer a revised lower real property tax rate and then still cover all of the new expenditures that were made. That's the good news. A little bit of bad news. I don't know whether anybody realizes it, but last year your personal property tax on your vehicles was reduced somewhat because they reduced the percentage of the valuation of the vehicle that they charged you taxes on. Because the market has changed and used vehicle prices have dropped, so they say, in comparison to last year, they're going back to 100% full assessment on the used car value and on the new car value. So I suspect that any gains you may have made in your real property tax, you might see go out the window on your vehicle tax. It remains to be seen. More importantly to the town, the Public Works Department proposed and the county adopted, over my strenuous objections, a new solid waste fee structure. You'll be paying $5 more per house. It'll be levied with your real property tax bill. That's not the big deal. I think it's going up from 70 to 75 per home. One-time annual fee. What is going to cause a lot of people, both residents of the town and residents where HOAs pay for their trash service, is the new tipping fee. The county's never had a tipping fee before. They're now charging it at $40 per ton. They're charging it straight to the cartage carrier, which you will pay. The estimation I had to literally yank out of the Public Works Director was that will accomplish about 40 to 45% of their billing or their revenue stream this year. So the revenues from the solid waste fees are going to pretty much double, with a preponderance of that coming from the tipping fee in terms of the increase. I'm going to extemporize here a little bit. We've spent a lot of time behind that dais thinking about long-term projects, how to fund them, setting aside reserves, setting aside revenue streams, realizing what we had in the out years. I'm sad to report that that wasn't the case with the landfill. They burned up the reserves. They didn't put any money aside, and now they're up against the gun because they have to expand the landfill to accommodate usage. Thus, you're seeing this tactic and this manner of raising the revenue so that they can stay, and I quote, self-funding. They reference it as a fee. I don't. It's simply another tax disguised as a fee. So you can expect that to go up significantly in the next year. I think you're in the middle of doing your cartage contract with American or whomever you choose to pay for or contract with, but I suspect your contract rate's going to be significantly higher than last year, simply as a result of the tipping fee. A couple of other little things in the budget, actually only one of real note. The board authorized an additional $500,000 allocation, $500,000, for what I think I termed marigolds for medians. They're going to want to plant lovely flowers in our median strips to make our county look better. I suspect I'm going to take whatever percentage I can get, and it's going to go to a little more worthwhile projects in terms of what I can get away with calling beautification, whether it's, fixing a broken sidewalk or doing something along those lines. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that built into the budget. Two last things. Let me start with the planning one. For those of you that are not aware, there is a planning application that should be filed with the town at some point. High Point at Haymarket. It's an odd one. It's 40% in the town, 60% in the county, 50% in the Brentsville district, 50% in the Gainesville district. So there's a lot of different things at play. If anybody wants to talk about it offline, I'll be more than happy to, because I'm already unhappy, and I suspect town staff is not happy, and county staff isn't happy about the way that this is coming about, but it's something to be aware of. It has been filed with the county, so the process will begin. I have asked the county, perhaps the town attorney will opine on this once I've left, but I have asked county staff to work hand in hand and handle it conjunctively with the town planner. I don't want a circumstance where we're going to have a he said, she said. The town said this, the county said that, and different stories are communicated to both. I'd rather get both staffs together and handle this as cohesively as possible. And then the last thing is QTS is having a data center presentation across the street at the hotel tomorrow night. I would encourage those of you who want to learn about what QTS is planning for the Pageland corridor to show up. I am relatively sure there will be a public demonstration out front as well. I would strongly suggest that if you guys are going to show up or wander through, you might want to do a public notice of a gathering, just in case more than two of you show up. But I'll leave it at that, and if anybody's got any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them.
Couple of comments.
Except from you.
Except from me. Can I make a couple comments first?
Sure.
So I want to welcome Jen. Good to see you again back here, and Rebecca, former council member. Bob, this is great. We need more of this. I hope you come back regularly. It's very good information. What? Go ahead.
I suspect it's going to be a little more irregular now that the budget season's
Right.
over, because I don't think there's much coming up.
Oh, I can make sure it's on.
But I think it's very, very helpful. This is probably the most communication I think we've gotten in a long time, and it's really appreciated. And I'm going to blow some smoke here, and I'm going to say here that thank you for working really hard to work on a tax rate, because I don't see that happening unless you were there representing Gainesville. So thank you for that. I do have a question about the landfill. And we've been talking about this, as you were a finance liaison, we discussed, the potential impacts to the trash hauling contract. And it looks like it could be significant. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate out the tonnage if we can get a number and figure out where that might land us, because we have a feeling next year's negotiations are going to be tough.
It's going to depend a lot on, well, to some degree, it's going to depend on your commercial usage. I mean, do we provide commercial hauling for any of the, so all we do is the residential? If I recall correctly.
On town properties, right?
Which is negligible.
If I recall, I think they were estimating a ton to a ton and a half of refuse per residence.
Per resident.
So
Annually.
take the number of residential units you're looking at, multiply by 40. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that's a good start, I guess.
Yeah.
Is any?
The other question is, how does the cartage company measure that and factor it into your rate, or are they going to apply a standard per unit? That's going to be up to them. I don't see the county taking a hand in it. There's not going to be any regulation of the cartage fees that I'm aware of. So what it ultimately ends up costing us, both the homeowner, the HOA, or the town, I don't think we're going to know until they hit you with the first contract offer.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to identify boundaries. I have a feeling they will be averaging it across the board.
And probably something that they'll adjust in year 2. And
Yeah, so that's negotiation on our contract.
Well, if you could answer office hours for folks that might want to visit, because I was there Friday and had an opportunity to go through the High Point drawings with Supervisor Weir. It was really informative. 9 to 4. Okay, great. And I would encourage people to go there and have a chance to see the facility, meet with Bob's staff.
Not a facility, it's a palace I was gifted.
It's actually really nice, and it's not where it
More
used
than
to
I
be.
need.
And so that's right across, what is the,
It's right across the street from the Mark. If you're going eastbound on Heathcote, you go across Heritage Hunt, and it's the next right curb cut, backside of the building.
Suite 150, right?
in the back?
In the back.
In the back.
13575 Heathcote Boulevard.
Yep.
I just know how to get there. I don't ever mail anything there.
And they do have an outside entrance, so no need to go internal. Or else you will have to go through a maze to find them.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Cool. And I get to leave. You guys can play with the budget.
We'll see you at your other office.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, next item, the consent agenda. Anybody want to pull any reports?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull the chief's report and the town attorney report.
Anybody else? Okay, so who's going to give me a motion?
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that town council approves the consent agenda, items A, 1, and 2, item B, 1, 2, and 4, and item C, 1 through 5.
Okay, got a motion and a second? You did hear that second?
I did.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. We'll open up the chief's report.
Great. Yep, I'll start. If anybody has anything, please join in. I just wanted to give our chief an opportunity to speak a little bit. I'd always like to hear his voice. I know he'll be speaking later. But I see an uptick in some of the calls. Chief, anything you want to share with us about whether it's dispatch calls or officer-initiated calls and traffic stops. And it seems like we have an uptick going on right now.
We do have an uptick in both officer-initiated and dispatch calls, but mainly dispatch calls for service. More of the, which was typical for our area, domestics, traffic issues, minor thefts, things like that. As you can see, we've probably had about a 95% uptick from this time last year. It's just busier. Business is booming, and that's just the way things are. And I don't expect the trend to lessen any. I think it's going to be pretty consistent through the summer, and we'll continue to do what we do.
Okay. Yeah, I gather part of it's a post-pandemic phenomenon as well.
Well, you could say that for sure.
Other development pressures around us.
Correct. Your assumptions are quite correct, sir.
Okay. That's really, I just wanted to hear your voice, so I thank you. Anybody have anything?
Yep.
I'd love to chime in.
Yeah.
So, Chief, I have a question that I think the public would be really excited to hear about. Considering all these upticks, considering the development increasing and not just within the town limits, but around us, and the traffic picking up and everyone coming out of their homes, sure, and events being hosted, could you describe to us how staffing is looking and what your needs might be there?
Currently, like you'll see reflected in the budget, an uptick in both our part-time and our overtime because of the current trend and what I believe is coming, in my professional opinion, with the developments that we've had, especially with the mixed-use area down here, where you're going to have business and residential, basically occupying the same parcel of property. And it's very common across the board to see an uptick in an area like that of, criminal activity, minor criminal activity, anything from vandalism to thefts to larcenies and things like that. But we're going to work within our current staffing area to address those issues. And I think that with our crime prevention initiative, we're going to help to try to quell that down before it ever starts. But we're still going to have to deal with the outcome, more people, more business, more crime, more calls for service. That's just the nature of the business. And, we'll readdress where we're at in staffing this time next year as well, to make sure that we're providing the proper service to our community and our community members to address those needs.
I just want to call out that I deeply appreciate your forethought and, using your professional opinion to address this issue before it becomes a real issue for our town.
Yes, ma'am.
The forward thinking and proactive as opposed to reactive. I look forward to supporting you and, if you need to increase staffing, I look forward to that discussion when that time comes, because I personally have a belief that will come sooner than later. So I just want to put it out there for the public to hear as well, that there is growth, there is increase in potential upticks in not just calls, but, events. So.
Correct. And we're doing a proportional response at this time. I think what we're putting forward in the budget and what we're asking for is very proportionate to what we're going to need this coming year. Once the businesses are all up and running and the houses are all filled, we'll have to look at that again. But I think the phased implementation to address this issue is the proper budgetary and good fiscal management to look forward, but also still providing those businesses and our community members with proper crime prevention and proper response to whatever their needs may be in the future. And I do appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I concur, and thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I got.
Anyone else? Okay, I got some comments. These charts definitely track the trends, so we can monitor to determine what kind of reaction we need to make. One thing I don't see in here, but I'm sure you're probably tracking, I just want to make sure that we are, in the response times.
We do track response times, and I can provide a breakdown with that. Okay. If you would like to see that in future reports. It won't be necessarily problematic to go way back, but we could start with maybe this year and move forward. But I would do whatever the council or mayor sees fit to make sure that we're addressing those response times. But I can assure you that they are very short in duration. We are usually right on top of our stuff. Unless an officer has an arrest or is is dealing with another issue, the response time is well with under a minute usually. But I can provide those times as council sees fit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that would be one of the hot spots. I don't know if we need to track it, but as long as you're tracking it, because this, right now, we typically do a one-man shift.
Correct, sir.
And this is a hot spot that would determine whether we need to do two-man shifts or not.
Correct.
Because it could be totally hidden within these graphs that you have now.
Fortunately, we do have a good relationship with our other agencies, Prince William County and the state police. And, often when we do have an officer that is dealing with another issue, they will send a unit as quick as they can. Of course, the response time is not going to be what the citizens of Haymarket are used to. But we still have worked with them to make sure that we're addressing those issues when we have a deficiency. And, we try to make sure that we are 100% staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because we believe that the citizens have earned that right to have that quick response time. But again, with having a one officer per shift, we can't obviously, if we're having an arrest or we're already dealing with an issue, even if it's a traffic issue or a domestic issue, then there's going to be a delayed response from that officer, and then we're going to have to shift it off to Prince William County or the state police to come and assist that citizen's issue or need.
Well, like I said, I think that would be a good indicator of how we have to man our shifts.
Well, like I said, it is tracked, and I can assemble the numbers for you. We can put it included in the report, or I can give it to you on our annual report, however council sees fit. But I would ask that the parameters be set for the metrics that you want. Do you want the average response time? Do you want any side issues like we had a delayed response time this month or this week that was outside of our norm, and what was the reason for that? Just the metrics that you want to look at, so that I'm properly reporting to you when that time comes.
I have a question.
Feel free.
Chief, have you heard of any expansion by the Prince William Police Department out here in the western area?
No, sir. No, sir. I know that they are trying to address their shortage issues, and I know with their recent increase in salary, in speaking with Chief Newsham, that basically is kind of stop the bleeding, so to speak. And now they're looking at initiatives to make sure that they fill those vacant positions and move forward. And of course, with moving forward, then they would backfill positions in the Western District, as well as Central and Eastern, in a proportionate response, I would say. But no specific plans that I know of from Captain Welsh nor Chief Newsham to expand into the Western District over what they have and with their staffing issues that they're dealing with currently.
Okay.
I can investigate that. I have a good rapport with Chief Newsham and could speak to him and ask him what the future plans are outlaid for that, or Captain Welsh.
That would be helpful from a planning perspective and a budgeting perspective, because I think you're going to be seeing a lot more pressure outside of town, given the response rates from the county, not having somebody out here on the western end. I mean, Wellington is great, but it's not really here where a lot of the development is happening off the 15 corridor. So it might be helpful if you could find out. We have an advocate at the county right now, and maybe they can help us out with some of that, because I think those pressures are going to start pushing our budget a lot further north, and we need to, I think, rely on the county for some of that going forward. So I'm putting it out. I'm putting a marker out there right now, saying that I think the county's going to have to step it up a little bit for us.
Yes, sir.
That's just my opinion. Right.
No worries. I'll relay those sentiments, and I don't disagree with you. And I'll set up a meeting with Chief Newsham, Captain Welsh of the Western District, and address those concerns, and I'll let you know what the response is.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Council. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next, town attorney report.
Yes.
Opened up. You got questions?
Yes, I do. Welcome, Martin. We had the A team at the last meeting, so I guess you're the AA team?
Something like that.
Yeah. So can you just update us on the writ for the election in November? That's been submitted?
It's been submitted, it's been entered. We're expecting the registrar to have the necessary information. I did ask staff to reach out to the registrar because I had another county have an experience where the registrar didn't get or couldn't find in their on their desk the order. But I think it was confirmed the registrar is aware of it, so all the deadlines are going to be in place for that, like they would for any other office.
Right. And just to clarify or to reconfirm, it is August 18th is the deadline for filing for the open position, well, the remaining year of the open position.
If you say so, I'm not aware. I don't keep track of that.
Oh, all right, but it is confirmed, the 18th of August. Okay. So I don't want to get into closed session territory, but I do want to ask a question about the Bean property.
Yes.
Relative to their presentation to the ARB.
Yes, sir.
The process going forward, your sense of it, if in fact they have fully documented the attempt to sell for over a year in concert with the state statute, your thoughts, or are we delving into areas where we would have to have a...
I don't think we need to delve into areas that would be appropriate for closed session because I don't think they are moving in that direction. The Beans are asking for a certificate of appropriateness from the Architectural Review Board for demolition. That it is a fact that they did market the property, and they had two different buyers at different times. But whether that complies with the statute and whether, who makes that decision is not before anybody at this point. It's not before the ARB and it's not before the town council. I think, so where we are, to put it positively, where we are is the ARB has taken the matter under advisement. They are going to have a site visit and work session on that at their next scheduled meeting this month. And then they could rule on the certificate of appropriateness as soon as that same meeting. And if they grant that, then unless somebody appeals it to the town council, that's it. They can go down to McCourt and get their demolition permit. That's where it currently stands. Just to remind everybody, the litigation involving the appeal from the Board of Zoning Appeals is stayed. We've continued it a couple of times, and it's now scheduled for a trial in December. But from the comments made publicly by the Beans attorney at the ARB meeting, they don't anticipate needing to use that building because it's not usable. So the whole case may be moot based on what their attorney said. So, I'll stop there. Is there any questions? Or have I gone too far into the weeds already? This is the older building, the building from the 1940s. The building from the 1980s is fine. It's structurally sound.
Mary, you have anything about that? No? You're going to reserve comment. Okay. So, for me, I guess the question is the process and who makes the decision. So it sounds to me as if this will follow the typical process where it goes back to the ARB. The ARB will weigh in one way or the other, and depending on the outcome of that, the next step could be an appeal or not.
Right. And so if the ARB denies it, I fully expect the Beans would appeal it to you.
Right. Okay. All right. That's fair. And then remote participation.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I found where they've hid that quorum requirement. It's in the definition of remote participation.
Where did they hide that?
That's where they hid that. That's not where I would have put it if I were writing that statute.
Yeah.
But there is a quorum requirement. So we'll fix that, bring it back to you next month, and hopefully just quietly pass it on the consent agenda, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, I think we have to fix that. And where was it? It was in the definitions?
It's in the definition of remote participation.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way they made that change either. So let me ask you, so the remote participation prior to September 1st is now, that was 3708.2, now we have 3708.3.
Right.
But with respect to emergency declarations, that remains the same as .2?
Yes.
With no changes whatsoever?
So let me get to that section real quick. There isn't any emergency declaration in effect right now, of course, but if there were to be one, then it would be Yes, 3708.2, that is, takes effect when the governor has declared a state of emergency, or where in a locality in which the public body has declared a local state of emergency. And by the way, just for reference, you all as a town cannot declare a local emergency. That would have to be a county emergency. And if the nature of the declared emergency makes it impractical or unsafe to assemble a quorum in a single location, and the purpose of the meeting is to provide for continuity of operations, then you can meet fully remote.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Sure. You good? Any other questions for Martin? Okay, that said, staffing, any of the other agenda items require legal counsel? Then if there's no objections, I will dismiss our legal counsel. Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming.
So, Mr. Mayor, then I will move to approve consent agenda items B3 and B5.
Okay, you got a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you, Martin.
we'll move on. Next agenda item is the town maintenance position.
Okay, so following up from our meeting last week at our work session, you have before you tonight the memo as well as the job description for the maintenance position. If there's any other questions that I can assist with answering, please let me know. Last week we did go through some of the offsets. Again, this was not an exhaustive list. We do fully expect there will be additional offsets as we work through this position over the next year, and we will track that. One of the big items that we also discussed was that this individual would be doing the asset inventory, so that was specifically added to the job description, so that was tracked as well.
Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment. So just to clarify, package page 46, we're going to consider funding the position effective May 15th, correct?
If council's amenable, yes.
Right, or have you already moved forward? No.
I have not, no, sir. I was waiting for direction this evening.
All right, so in the memo, it says May 1st, so we'll just,
I apologize.
no, that's okay.
It
that
should
for?
be May 15th on the funding portion, yes, May 15th. If
And that's for
council,
full-time or just added hours?
that would be full-time effective May 15th. So if it is something that the council wishes to move forward on, we would post up the job tomorrow. We would accept applications and start the interview process just as soon as we have applicants apply that are qualified for interviews.
So procedurally, what are you looking for?
Procedurally, I'm looking for the directive to post up the job and approve the funding for the start of May 15th at the earliest through the remainder of the fiscal year.
No objection.
Treasury comment?
Treasury.
Fundings here?
All we can comment is that we do have the funds to do so. The town manager and I sat down and we went through the numbers, so even a 15th date or later would work.
Okay. Okay. Who wants to?
Do you want me to write one out and read it out?
Sure.
If you give me just a second.
Go right ahead.
Yes, please.
And then the full-time positions within the proposed budget, so that would be covered there.
That's correct.
So we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Okay. So a motion would be, I move to approve the funding for a full-time maintenance position effective May 15th, 2023. Do you need anything else for the budget line item? That would be it.
Okay.
So moved.
Unless,
I'll wait for discussion. Go ahead.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
That's the only thing, I think, possibly to show where the money's coming from, that this is coming out of your, approving it out of which line item or which allocation.
Okay.
I mean, that's just a thought. I mean, as part of the motion, it would be like,
So a friendly amendment would be, I move to approve the funding for a full-time maintenance position effective May 15th, 2023, with funding coming from the administrative wages line item.
So amended?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, next item. Resolution for purchase. Assuming we need to move some money.
Yes, Council. So I believe in the last town council meeting, the discussion was on the purchase of the new vehicle for the police department. This resolution, the staff report in this resolution is to make that official, as we do need to move funds from the proffers in the amount of $10,640 to appropriate it into the budget, while the remaining balance to create the remaining funds will be moved from the current CIP funds line item. And just a note, by doing this motion, if this resolution does pass and gets approved, it will reduce the CIP fund on the police department side and the proposed FY 2024 budget.
Correct.
Yep, and clarification, this doesn't cross the threshold where a public announcement is required, right?
No, it does not, because all we're doing is appropriating the $10,640, which is well below our 1%. The other funds are just being moved from one line item to the next, so it's already been appropriated.
So, I have a couple
Who wants
questions.
to read? Anybody you want to do some questions
I
before
wanna-
discussion first?
Yeah, let's just talk
Okay.
about that. So the money, 10,640 is coming out of the public safety proffer, so that zeroes that out. That's no longer available.
Correct, for the Van Meter project, yes.
Right, so that goes. And capital outlay, machinery, equipment of the PD, you're going to have to create a line item for that in this existing budget, correct?
Yes.
Right, so that'll be 31,10056, similar to what we have in the proposed
past,
budget?
yes, in the past.
Okay. And then the capital improvement funds, less 32,360, that'll also have to be created, I think, right?
No, that's already in the
That's already in there,
budget.
94,108?
Exactly.
Okay. That's it. Just wanted to put it out there.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I move the Haymarket Town Council approve an appropriation to the fiscal year 2022-2023 as designated on resolution number 2023-005.
Second.
Okay, any more discussions required? Okay, since this is money, roll call, please.
Kenneth?
Aye.
Aye.
Vader?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
so move on to the fiscal year 2024 budget work session.
Happy motoring, Chief.
Okay, Council. What you have in front of you is a revision 3 of the proposed budget for FY 2024. And this revision, what I also did is during their last conversation, we have officially executed a contract for a new tenant lease. Just a reminder, as you guys are aware, anything that's under 5 years does not require a public hearing. This is a 1-year lease for an existing space. So I wanted to go ahead and amend the budget since we're in that period that we could amend it currently for the proposed. That increase, and we also will be starting in August of 2023. An existing tenant will be increasing their footprint by 460 square feet. That'll be the church. We're already in discussions with the attorney. We will be amending the existing lease that will end as of next year, June 30th, 2024. Councilman Passano, you have a question?
Yes, Treasurer Roberto.
Yeah.
Packet page 56, those are the 2 red line items that you highlighted there. Those are the changes.
My apologies, I did not print out the agenda,
Oh, that's okay.
but yes, you're correct.
Just want to make sure everybody sees it. That's
You're correct, yes.
Okay. All right.
I also want to also address that on the farmers market and the revenues. Because of that control we have taken back, you guys have, we spoke on this matter on the work session. We obviously have had a better collection system for the revenue side, so I wanted to correct that as well. As the initial budget that I proposed was going off what we currently have, but with now the new numbers and being able to actually gauge that, I wanted to make sure that it reflects what the actual numbers are for the following year.
Thank you.
And those are the only 3 items I wanted to address here. I'm not sure if there's any specific questions.
Go for it.
So those couple things that you mentioned sounds like they're additional revenue income? Is that
Additional
correct?
revenue, and on the expenditure side, I went ahead and put some of the monies into the additional maintenance as well as some of the water and electrical invoices, because those 2 tenants are actually within this building. So we do the town takes care of the water and the electrical. Aside, if they're from Washington Street Realty, they take care of their own water, electricity. We do not pay that.
Okay, so that's close to what, $56,000, right? Additional revenue?
Yes.
So, and then we turn around and increased our expenditure by that same amount?
Not by that same amount, by, well, yes.
47.
The,
You're looking for the balance, right? That's what you.
Why would it necessitate the need to increase our expenditure? And that's what I'm trying to understand.
because it has to be a balanced budget. So if we keep $1,000, if we receive any revenues of 1,000, we have to show 1,000 in expenditures. If it's, depending on where you want to place it, it has to be a balanced budget.
Now, this is based on generally accepted accounting principles?
Yes.
Right. For municipalities, a little bit different than private business, I guess.
Yes, very different. Otherwise, we have to always have a balanced budget. And now, do we expend, is the goal to expend everything on the expenditure side? It is not. But just so I get a better understanding, any funds at the end of the year that we do not expend, for the best example, the past year when we did the tax refund, the first thing we would do is actually put it into reserves. And that's one of the biggest things any municipality, especially a town this size, would do to make sure we meet we have a minimum requirement. Auditors like to see a minimum of 15% in reserves of your expenditure, overall expenditure, but we actually maintain a 30% or higher. That is another reason why the town has been able to do these reductions in real estate tax incrementally. But yes, just because we have the funds there to expend does not mean that we are looking to max them out.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You have any questions? I have a couple more.
Okay.
Just a couple more. I don't want to torture you, Roberto, but just to remind us about the public hearing and when that'll be, because I think I'm going to reserve any additional comment to you on the budget until after we hear from the public. So when will that be? And you're going to be looking for direction to post that.
Yes. So that was going to be my last ask of council tonight, after questions. So if council is okay with these current changes, I would ask if we could get if staff could get a directive to do the public notice for the proposed budget of FY 2024 for May 30th.
And that's our work session?
Yes. That would be our work session.
And that is also on a Tuesday, because it's after the Monday of Memorial Day.
Right.
Just so you guys know, it's on a different day of the week.
So then we might or might not get some public comment, and then we can come back. And what was the date again in June we were looking to adopt?
So if we were to adopt currently, we would have a special meeting on June 12th, I believe. June 12th would be a special meeting to solely for the adoption of the budget. And if we haven't adopted the real estate tax rate just yet, we would do that as well that same night.
Special meeting or, yeah, okay.
Special meeting, because our meeting would be June, it has to be 7 days, yes.
Correct, right. Okay. So that would be a date I think everybody'd want to circle on their calendar, right?
Yes, and I think the clerk of council has helped me as well, that it's part of the calendar, the overall calendar that we have sent out.
Okay.
So.
I wasn't lecturing.
No, it's my birthday,
might-
that's
Oh,
why.
is it really? Oh,
So
my
I was
goodness.
like, I'm not.
Well, then we could have a special meeting, pass a budget, and then have a party after.
Have a party.
So, just a thought, like, for the June 12th meeting is what you're talking about. Just a thought, with the past, we could change it to the following week. That was just more of a guide for us to do. But if you guys remember in the past year or two that we've been with this same council, well, for the most part, the same council, we've done it at the last work session of June. But we figured at the time there was a certain finance liaison that didn't want to wait towards the end, so we kind of, addressed that schedule-wise. But we can move it if we need to.
Is that going to be a problem with your plans for?
Oh, I'm on the hot seat.
I mean, we can always make an adjustment.
We can make an adjustment. And if we make an adjustment, I'm okay with it, because it also will save us money too, because we don't have to hold that special meeting. So we could do the work session, which is already budgeted meeting.
That's not what you said last week.
Got it now.
Let's have some money. I'll spend it someplace else.
Yes.
Based on the likelihood of the increase in the trash removal fee cost, should we not adjust bump up?
Great question, Councilman Alexander. That is a matter that we will be discussing throughout FY 2024, but our current contract does not end until June 30th of 2024. So we still have that 1 year that we don't have to be concerned on that matter. But
He's anticipating an increase.
we are anticipating, and that's a discussion I'll be more than happy to have with you offline as well, with the town manager. But we are definitely have eyes on it. We definitely are starting to try to see how we can address it. And the conversations will start. I believe the town manager and mainly the town manager will probably have that discussions with councils in November, December of this year.
Yep.
We will start to negotiate.
Do you know, are there any outs in the contract for them to do a special assessment?
I believe not. They are not. I don't think so. I know that with the gas prices and stuff, they reached out and we're hoping that we would be amenable to an additional fees for the additional cost in fuel. We were in a position that, a contract is a contract, as many other jurisdictions were as well. So I'm not sure. We can review it and confirm that for you though as well.
Yeah, just make sure.
Exactly.
That way we don't have to worry about it and all of a sudden do a scramble.
I mean, obviously, we are responsible for the additional, the incremental units added to the town, to the inventory. But that is a good question.
That's right, because, the readjustments for these added units, who knows if there's an out because of that for them to reassess?
That is a good question, actually. Unfortunately, though, as of right now, too, I may need to reach out to them as well to get a better sense of average count when it comes to the tonnage that we currently use, because it does not report it that way. It only reports it by the amount of pickups. So that's something I'll have to reach out to the rep just to try to gauge about how much we're looking at. And I'm assuming that they have a reporting system that they would do on a monthly, on a pickup, per pickup for the town, or I'm not sure how that would work for them. But.
Yeah, I mean, what was stated earlier was correct in terms of 1 to 1.5 per residential unit. I think we're looking at anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 more.
Yeah, $60 per town, or per unit. Yep. Any other questions on the budget?
So you're looking for direction? or
Yes. If we could get a directive to, for staff to do the public announcement for the proposed budget.
For which day was that fully
May
discussed?
30th.
Okay, yeah,
For
that's
the
May 30th.
for public
How about
hearing to
the-
be held on the May 30th work session.
With the intention of moving the final,
There is, we can discuss it at that meeting,
Okay.
actually. We don't, for the voting date, the adoption date.
okay, if there's any objections, if we direct staff to put out the public announcement. No objection,
No objection.
Thank you.
put out the announcement.
Please proceed.
All right. Now we got the take-home policy for the PD department.
As directed last week, I brought up the point of updating our current policy, something that council had wanted prior to my employment here. So I ran a bunch of numbers, and I did throw them onto the council report that went out for you to reference. As you know, currently we're involved in what's called a hybrid program, where employees take their cruisers home when they're working, but not when they're off duty. And our current radius is at 50 miles. So I did also put in just the portion of General Order 301, which dictates what our current policy is, not what the proposed policy would be, but what their current policy is.
Right.
So what I was looking for was council feedback for me to update this policy. And again, for those that wasn't here last week, I want a response from you all, because it's a budget impact. If it just involves good police practicing or following code, then it's a general order that I would readily rewrite and make sure the policy was squared away. But I wanted input from council before I basically put pen to paper or fingers to the keyboard, or however you want to put it.
Okay, it's open up for discussion. Any questions?
Okay. All right, Chief, so help me understand a couple things here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we currently have a hybrid plan, right?
Correct.
That allows officers to live within a 50-mile radius?
Correct.
Okay. And here you indicate that it looks like the officers drive vehicles to their home about 16 times a month. That's one direction?
Correct. One direction.
Okay. So potentially what this means is that they're per month, right, 16. In the worst case scenario, one officer can live up to 50 miles from here, right?
Correct. And you're on point there. This is the worst case scenario. Not everybody lives at that range.
Okay. So in the worst case scenario, we're looking at 1,600 miles per month, right? 16 times 100, that's 50 miles one way.
Correct.
Right. That means that's about 19,200 miles per year.
Correct.
Okay. And if we assume, again, this is a calculation I did, if we assume 20 miles to the gallon, we're looking at about $3,091 or so, $3.22 per gallon cost.
Yeah, your mileage, your estimated mileage was a little high.
Okay.
Because my mileage has to assess on their average. So obviously you get better mileage on highway miles than you do around town.
Okay.
So the average that I found was about 13. But again, you're still talking highway miles. So that distance or them going home that distance, they would get a better mileage. But I can't give you exactly what that would be. I just have to give the average that we're currently using, which is a total between patrol and their trips home.
So what this means is that as far as the cost to the town, potentially, in addition to the 19,200 additional miles per year, we're talking about 4,000 approximately.
Correct. Not earth-shattering cash, but still budget impactful and in good physical management. You look at all the numbers, not just the big ones.
Yeah. It wasn't so much about the price on gas, right? It's the mileage. We're talking about close to $20,000 extra on each vehicle. That necessitates the need for us to replace these vehicles on a more frequent basis, right? This is my personal opinion. Again, I'm just, but all right, thank you.
It does, sir, because you're gonna rack up mileage quicker, obviously. But again, with ownership of the vehicle, you do get better maintenance, better care of the vehicle, because the individual takes their time to make sure their office is squared away. But you're not incorrect in that, obviously. And then as the miles go up, so does our maintenance. From 12 cents a mile to 22 cents a mile, depending on what mileage that vehicle has. And that transitions every year. When I do my average mileage report and then my average mileage per vehicle report, then those are some of the metrics I look at to decide how much maintenance money we're going to need for those vehicles.
And I think last time I had asked whether or not we are on par with other jurisdictions, right, as far as the take-home.
We're on par.
On par.
We're on par.
Okay.
There's agencies that have much more restrictive, and there's agencies that have much more loose policies, full take-home policies. And so we're in a good position. The officer morale is good. So I'm not advocating at all for any type of a full take-home. I did put those metrics out there for you to look at, but I'm not advocating for that. We're in a good place. We're doing good with retention. We've had zero rollover since I've been here. Other than some part-timers finding better things, but everything is good. So I don't see no reason to try to make it more than what it is.
Okay. As far as being on par, does that include the radius as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Matter of fact, the treasurer actually looked up for the federal government. They're in the same realm as that. Federal take-home vehicles are in that same realm of where we're currently at. So not just localities, but on the federal government side as well.
So both federal and locality were on
Correct.
par. Okay. Thank you.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Any other comments?
Just go around the dice.
Okay.
I was going to say thank you for going through this exercise so everyone can see. I'm really, really, really happy to hear that the take-home policy that we have in place and the leadership we have in place has set up for a healthy working environment and a positive morale, because there's a lot of departments out there that are really, really struggling in that department.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're really, really blessed to have you guys. So thank you again for going through this exercise. I know this is something that council has wanted for a long time. So this is very nice to see. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Good.
I was here last week, so, if anybody has anything else to add.
Chief.
Yes, sir.
In favor of full take-home, I'll go on the record. Was on the record before. I think it's money well spent. So, and for the retention and all the obvious reasons for full take, especially the immediate response. When an officer is off duty and has to come in a civilian car down 66 It makes a lot of difference when they're coming down with lights and siren to whatever response that we're trying to
Correct.
correct.
And those agencies that do have full take-home, that is a great retention tool. You just want to monitor, the morale department can change from inside or outside, dynamics. And as long as you monitor that and the morale is good and people are motivated and engaged in their work, we're in a really good place. But your point is well taken. With that is a much quicker response if we do have to recall those individuals. That is one advantage that morale has nothing to do with, ownership of vehicle has nothing to do with. That's straight up public safety.
Yep, you'll never be able to put a price tag on that.
Correct.
After an incident. But yeah.
Correct.
That's my comment. Thanks.
Joe?
Hybrid.
Hybrid. There you go.
Hybrid.
Okay.
I can support, of course, I'm in favor of hybrid. I think full take-home is a stretch when we have a budget of about 33%, which is much higher than a lot of localities. So I think we have to be cognizant of that. But I certainly support the hybrid. I think that effectively provides us that response time that we're looking for. I'm not sure about the inner perimeter, the full-time inner, the hybrid. Actually, hybrid full-time, right? Hybrid full.
Correct.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of stuck between 15 and 25. So I'd like you to just speak a little bit more. I understand it's an attraction, hiring tool, and perhaps retention. We don't have it in this report. We had it last week at the work session. But can you just speak a little bit about the 15 and 25 mile perimeter for full take-home?
Yes, sir. And the way that the reason that I was proposing that is, although we're not in a point where we're looking to hire anyone, we may find ourselves in that. I mean, it's just ebb and flow of people. They either become disengaged, they want to work closer to home, they don't like night shift. There's a gamut of reasons for people to leave. Usually it's for lack of leadership, but we don't have that problem. So with that being said is that if we find ourselves in that issue, it would be nice to be able to hire somebody closer if that's one of the fringes that they're looking for. And then we have that super fast response time to have that ability in place, not just make it a project of negotiation at the time of hire. And then obviously if we find ourselves in a position to where we have 3 or 4 people like that, then that is a wonderful retention tool like has already been brought up. Between the two, monetarily, you're talking $1,500 a year between those two in gas. Maintenance is inconsequential because it is so close, but you could just tack on as the vehicle gets older, not newer, but older, you could tack on maybe another $2,000 a year in maintenance with oil changes and breakdowns and things like that. So not largely impactful for that extra 10 miles. That does cast a much broader net, gets us into the Marshall area where you might find police officers living and working. Obviously, it's very expensive to live in Northern Virginia, a reason that I still live in the Valley. Not that I don't love Haymarket. I have come to really love this town and would love to live here, quite frankly. But officers, sometimes can't afford a $652,000 townhome working on a police officer's salary. So it does cast us out into certain areas, and you can look at the radius range that is attached to the document, and we could cast a little bit broader line. So I would advocate for the 25 because it's not hugely impactful. But again, council's discretion. I'm here to make things work and to make sure that we keep our department squared away, and either one I can work with.
Well, Mr. Mayor, in that case, I think I can live with the 60-25 plan.
Okay, yeah, what I'd like to highlight here, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, you're suggesting we blend?
That's the recommendation.
Oh, okay, sorry. My brain is soup. Okay, perfect, thank you.
I was calling it hybrid, but it's really hybrid.
Full.
Okay. I love the idea.
Yeah, and here's my argument on if we wanted to go completely full or a hybrid. incidences in town, how many have we had where we needed to call an officer in immediately?
Since I've been here, too.
What kind of backup do we get from Prince William County?
If it is an emergency response, in other words, it's a high-profile issue, it's quick. I will say that. We had that use of force at Sheets. Within minutes, we had 5 Prince William officers there. If it is non-emergency, it can be lengthy in that time frame. I won't go into specific response times, but lengthy.
So would there be a large benefit, to have someone who's over 50 miles away or 50 miles away with a take-home car coming in here, or will Prince William County show up before them?
Prince William County would show up in an emergency response before then. It would depend on the issue and whether we were going to take primary response on that. And a lot of emergency response issues to where we might need to, let's say, set up a perimeter. Well, obviously, Prince William's going to be the one setting up the perimeter, and it, more than likely, depending on the reason for the perimeter, Prince William would probably take on the primary role because they have the canines, they have the thermal imaging on drones, they have the equipment. But to have that staffing here would still be great, and be able to do what we're supposed to be doing. But a lot of times Prince William would beat us here, would beat a response time from even 25 miles away before we could get somebody geared up, called in, geared up in here.
Yep. And so for me, with a hybrid, you do your cost benefits with response time of someone coming in. I see the extra bang for the buck if we limit it to 25 for full take home and rely on Prince William County for anything that's outside of that type of routine. I think that would be worth the bang for the buck. So I kind of look at the hybrid probably being a better way of going, my opinion, just to lay it out there. Any other responses?
I was just going to say, the incentive is very attractive overall for the plan, so I think that's nice too.
Yep. It is it's a perk that the officers like, and again, they take ownership and pride in the vehicle itself. So
one more. I'm sorry, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So we would adopt this immediately.
I would say it would be best to implement at July 1.
Okay.
Or shortly thereafter, for the purpose that this will have impact in the department. I want to make sure that everybody's well notified, and that we have the policies polished and ready. And I mean, I can have that done in a matter of days, really, or hours. But to make sure that everybody's informed, trained on the policy, understands the expectations. Not to mention, it could be an incentive for somebody to move closer, and not just where we're at, and not just looking forward, but where we're at right now. And they might change their mind. So it gives them time to address that and square it away. So I can see a little delay, but not huge. I'm not talking next year. I'm just talking a few months to make sure that everybody's informed and ready for the implementation of the policy.
Yeah. Transition period. Yeah.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, I've never been accused of that.
Excellent.
You good? Everyone good? So what direction do we want to go from here, guys? We looking for any type of decision, or are you looking for a decision to move forward?
There's nothing basically that would require a motion or a potential vote, but I would like to have a consensus of the council to make sure I'm following what council's decision is. And if I understood Councilman Passanello correctly, he's looking at 60 hybrid, 25 full take-home, if I'm correct. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, not to put words in your mouth, but that was my understanding.
That's okay.
So if directed by council, I'll start polishing up the policy this week, and we'll be done.
So we are.
Go around the dais then on what opinions are, and that'll give you some type of direction.
Yes, sir.
So what's being recommended or proposed, we're increasing the radius from 50 to 60.
Correct.
And is that because to accommodate that one of the officers, or is it just for in general?
We're good. I mean, It's just what we think is the right thing. There's no per officer in this thing. It's basically, it's an overall thing. We're not looking at any one officer to try to shoehorn anything in on. It will impact one officer, but it's going to impact him regardless.
Okay, that's all.
So the 60-25 work okay? In your mind?
I mean, again, all these questions there are some things that were stated here and some your perspectives that clarified some things for me, things that I wasn't considering, right? It's not about whether or not, there's no question about my respect and value of the police department, what have you, right?
Never
But
took it any other way.
I was focused on our, financial responsibility, right? And I didn't understand how we compared against, I don't want us to have a perk that was not in line with others, whereas costing the town residents, the town, more money than it should, right?
Correct.
But now I have a clearer understanding of,
I think you'll find in working with me down the road, and I think that I would offer this from Councilman Passanello being in the Finance Committee, is that I always try to find the right balance between serving the community and good fiscal management.
Okay.
And I wouldn't put anything else before that. And you're the councilman. I expect questions from you. I expect to be challenged. And if I'm not answering those questions, then I probably shouldn't be sitting here.
And I'll,
So don't ever think I take it that way.
Okay. And in all honesty, before I started participating on the town council planning commission, at least within my household, one thing that we discussed is how, at that time, even now to some extent, you mentioned 30% of the town budget, right? So I think it's about 35 of the new proposals, 35% budget is, for the police department, right? So, we thought it was a little bit too much, to be honest, right? And I just wanted to have an understanding of what's the reason for that and so forth. So that's one of the reasons that's driving all these questions and these all inquiries, what have you. So.
No worries, understood, my friend.
All right, thanks for,
Yes, sir.
all your, information and so forth. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Good questions.
Oh, I was going to say I'm for it, so yes.
Okay.
And for the record, again, full take-home, but
Roger that,
I
sir.
understand.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And just to make the dais full, I'm good with the 60-25 hybrid.
Thank you, council. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Looks like we're at the Conservation District rezoning discussions.
Yes. So I do have the larger plans that I can lay out on Martin's desk. If anybody would like to take a step down and look at them, you can feel free to do so, but everything is in your packet. I wanted to take a moment to kind of go around the dais. You've had the document to review for a week and just hear from each of the council members what some of your concerns are so that we can draft up our letter and get it sent over to the county in the next day or two. As our supervisor mentioned earlier in his report to council, they have not yet submitted to the town. We did hear from the attorney's office that is representing the client at the end of last week, requesting just some information on how to submit the document. So could be this week, could be a couple more weeks. They did not give us a deadline one way or the other of when they were looking to submit it. But we do want to make sure we meet this May 5th deadline to get comments over to the county and start our correspondence with them.
Yep.
So again, I will get these laid out in case anybody would like to take a look.
Yeah, you guys should get a printout. You should have a printout in front of you of the email that I sent to Emily, which kind of lists some bullets that I see of concern. These could be the initial discussion that points to see if we need to expand on any more things to give Emily a need to address by the May 5th meeting or submission. Feel free.
Chief, no, you're fine. Could you touch again on the discussion we had last week in regards to the division of who responds when and what that insight looks like for the police department itself?
Okay, as far as a call for service inside the town or outside of the town?
Right, in this community that is on the High Point.
The High Point.
The High Point.
Which one are we
community.
talking? Okay, my apologies, the conservation side. Okay, so my understanding is that 4 of the buildings potentially would be in our jurisdiction, and another 6 or 10 would be outside of our jurisdiction. Another 6, for a total of 10.
There were 13.
Anyway, a large number. So basically, we would respond to the 4 buildings for any incidents, from anything from parking complaints to domestic to assaults, whatever the case may be. The problem lies is that the other buildings will be really close to our jurisdiction as well. And a matter of fact, most of the people won't even understand which jurisdiction they're in. People in Haymarket and the zip code don't understand which jurisdiction they're in currently. Most of our calls per day to the office is people looking to deal with Prince William County, not really looking to deal with us. They just don't understand that. So when you have an emergency response, then obviously we're going to encumbrance in that. We're not just going to let somebody get hurt for the lack of saying it's in a different jurisdiction. So more than likely, a large number of the responses at those buildings will be outside of the county, or inside of the county, outside of our jurisdiction, will be from the PD standpoint to make, for the safety of the citizens there. Now, I'm not saying that Prince William expects a lot of us now. They don't expect us to go over here to any of the businesses across 15 and answer shoplifting complaints or anything like that. But again, the calls for service are going to be at an elevated in that concentrated living area. So again, we will, thank you. So we will have those issues along with peripheral issues. Those people, regardless whether they live in the county or live in the town, will be coming to our businesses. So any issues that we have will be our responsibilities as well, coming from those people that can just simply walk up the tracks, walk across the tracks, walk down to 15. So obviously our calls for service will be elevated inside the area as well as outside the area. And I'm not sure if that's exactly pinpointing what you're looking for me to say,
That's exactly
to respond to, or if there's any other points that you need me to finite on and drill down on you, I'd be glad to do it.
I found that to be very eye-opening when we discussed it, so thank you.
Yeah, and understanding the type of property it is and the interaction required by the police force, what type of stress do you see on our staffing?
We would double the department, if not triple. We would, as Mr. Mayor, you said last week, and totally concur with you, we could no longer allow one officer to work at a time. Because obviously the backup will be maybe minutes away in emergency response, but it's a concentrated area. It's not going to a single family home or a townhome, which is what we're dealing with. And good police practices, especially when there's a domestic involved, you wait. And when you wait for backup, when you wait to assess and wait for that backup to get there, that's sometimes when lives get lost or when the situation escalates beyond a point. So it's going to be very problematic. And that's not being over dramatic. I'm just telling you the facts. Mm-hmm. We will instantly double the department and more than likely triple.
I apologize that I was not here last week if this was discussed last week. But taking a look at the plan that was laid out, what's the capacity for these buildings? How many residents will reside within these buildings?
The units that are located within the town boundary, which is 4 buildings, and we're on, just for anybody following along online, we're on page 133. So there's 4 multi-family dwelling units that are going to be located on the town side. Those 4 buildings would house 72 dwelling units. So think of it as dwelling units. They are, I believe it said 1 and 2 bedroom units.
Okay.
I do not think they will have any 3-bedroom units. The buildings that are located in the county, that's 8 acres. That is an additional 6 buildings, and that is 168 dwelling units. Again, 1 and 2 bedroom units.
Okay. So, sorry, all these numbers.
No, it's okay. Ask away. Those numbers are.
I was wondering if the town staff had recently revisited what our population is right now in the town, because I do know that there's a threshold that once we meet it, we will not only have a police department to keep up, or streetscape, or a town park. We will have water, sewage. We will have more trash, which is only increasing. We will have all sorts of requirements, and I don't want to call them this, but burdens in a way for the town that would not be supplemented at all by the county.
So our most recent census data said we're at
1556. Okay, and that is current residents, feet on the ground here, not coming into the new homes that are yet to be built.
Correct.
Okay.
The census data that was most recently done in 2020 and released in 2021 of only current houses.
And what was the response rate to the 2020 census?
That I would have to get back to you.
Because I feel very strongly that the census collection due to the pandemic was deeply affected. So I'm going to put that on record that I don't think that accurately reflects how many people reside in our town. I almost wonder if tax bills would actually be a better way to go about that. See who's living in what dwelling.
Tax bills are only going to go to
One person, yeah, that's fair.
So unless they honestly reported back how many people they have living under the roof.
Okay. When's the next census? Like
Every 2
8 years. Oh, geez. Okay.
Well, you can always say, how many number of residents do we have in town? Let's say
Sure.
there's an average of 3 per residence, and that'll give you an idea.
Isn't the county supposed to be responsible of keeping count as well? I feel like there was like something that the county tracked. No?
And how many units? Did you say 1,500 currently? Residential units? How many?
No, that's residents that they counted.
No, residential units.
Number is,
800 and something.
it's about 460. Then you have 79 at Crossroads.
38.
And 603 is our total when we build out.
1,800. We'll average about 3 per.
Sounds conservative.
Yep. Yeah, that's not including, I'm sure, the units that are renting their basements to families and all that stuff, right?
Legally or illegally?
At least in my community, that is
Well,
prevalent.
If it's residential, there's really, unless it's an accessory dwelling, I don't think it's allowed.
I also, sorry, one last thing.
Go ahead.
For the plan for the town, I don't know the official name off the comp plan of the town.
Correct.
The intention is to preserve natural resources, and that's what's in that area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's a conservation area. And the intention is to preserve and conserve our natural resources. So I'm interested to see what their application is going to actually contain and see if they will present to us. I'm sad that that has not started for us. I do agree with Supervisor Weir that we need to do a joint effort. Please let me know if I can support staff in any way in doing that. I'm happy to make phone calls if need be and strong arm people if I know, to make sure that we're at that table, because
We need them to submit first.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? They submitted to the county, so the application, The application that you have in the agenda packet, that is exactly what they submitted to the county. That went in on February 17th. They received it down there at the county.
That's nice.
So I do believe that we would receive a very similar document that will have the plan laid out, including those, 7 pages over there. So this is everything that they've made available. We have a very similar request of what they include in the packet, so as soon as it comes in and is complete, we will share it out and get it properly to the council as well as planning commission.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, your hand's up.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So you're in that report, they're estimating 1,500 folks for that community? Is that the number?
I would have to read
Okay.
back through the exact number they're estimating.
All right, that's fine. We can talk about that later. So just getting back to Mary's point, which is something I was going to raise, is the comp plan. The comp plan does not envision development in that area. I mean, it's deemed, on the zoning perspective, what is it, conservation? So that also would require a ZTA.
That's correct.
And the likelihood of that happening, given that that is a conservation area near the North Fork, that would be very challenging, I would think. However, it's only 4 acres in town. The 8 acres outside town, I mean, that's another alternative that they have in this plan without the town. That could still go in and still have an impact. So we can't look at it just from the town perspective. We have to look at it from the 1 mile review perspective. So you just want to make sure people are aware of that.
Just one item, it would not require the ZTA, it would require a comp plan amendment.
A comp plan amendment.
If they were to do the rezoning, they would ask for conservation up to the R2 zoning. And R2 in our zoning ordinance does allow for multifamily dwelling units.
And
So
what are they zoning for at the county level? We don't have that,
at the
do we?
county level, they're asking for, I'll get the exact what they're asking for. They're changing it from OM, which is their office mid-rise.
Right, to, is it PMR?
Yes, there's a combination of what they're kind of asking for.
Would our R2 be sufficient for the density they're looking for?
The way our zoning ordinance is written, it would. Because we don't write our zoning ordinance just as the county does, where they have R4, R6, R16, and they state it out in densities like that. We have it written out differently and defined differently with our definitions.
Okay.
Yep. Last week we also discussed, sorry,
That's
are
okay.
you done? Did I cut you
No,
off?
no. I mean, you're looking for feedback too on?
Yeah, we want to add to the
Yes,
list,
please.
right?
Yeah, I want to add to your
Yes,
list.
so one of the items that I already noted is a discussion point of public transportation opportunities.
Correct.
That was my next list.
In communities such as this, with the workforce that they are pitching would be here and living in this area, there would be a need for public transportation, and at this time, we do not have public transportation on this end of the county.
Yeah, and while we're talking about transportation, we raised last week about the flyover, grade separation with the railroad, and making sure wherever they're coming out. And I believe they own the property where their driveway would come out onto 15. They own that as well. And they're contemplating, I guess, for lack of a better term, a four-corner kind of setup, crossroad there, but no light from what I could see.
No.
The question is, they could probably justify a warrant from the light to the, what is that, the south? Yeah, to the south on 15, but I got to think they're way too close to the railroad. That's about 1,000 feet from where they're envisioning at the moment, and that could be very problematic from a rail operations perspective. VDOT probably would not approve that, so we're talking stop signs or maybe something different, and that could be very challenging at that location, given the traffic volumes on 15. So I have a real concern about that. My other concern is, and we talked about this last week, was the property in town, if in fact this were going to go forward, and, you know, we can get something out of this deal, I would certainly look at eliminating that private grade crossing, get that in the mix. And I don't know what that would entail from a legal perspective. I don't know.
Can you explain further how they would be able to accomplish that? Because
So
there's no
the
connection.
landscape company, I guess, has the property abutting where they want to put the 4 units. Okay?
Correct.
And so that landscape property access is over the private grade crossing behind Aldi.
So does the entire storage 2 lots.
No, the storage lots are on the other side,
No,
on the
sir.
north side. No, the storage of the RVs parked is on the south side of the railroad
Correct.
tracks. But the other storage units aren't in the way.
Correct.
But the issue of eliminating that grade crossing, if there's a timing on that, we should consider that as, I don't know, some way of getting that accomplished if possible.
Okay, so
Just don't lose sight of it, that's all.
So you're saying a potential proposal for the landscaping company and then all of the outdoor storage customers would be, they would have a different entry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, some kind of an interparcel connector. And from a legal perspective, I imagine it would be quite challenging. The fact that we wouldn't want to have those 4 units, but what would we have to do to accommodate a roadway? Just a thought, because right now, if we don't eliminate that grade crossing, we're just going to see more accidents there. That's the private one, not the others. Just my 2 cents.
Are there any additional comments or concerns to include?
We addressed walkability, like walking from there. There's not really,
Yeah, walkability, public transport. Comp plan. I know the one bullet I put in here, elevation and foliage from the rest of the conservation property in Hague Market and around it is prime for stealthy activity and mischief. That, of course, could be, they could say could be resolved by a fence, but as we all know, people love to break down fences. So that would be another concern for Chief, because that is on our property. Even if we did realign this, that still opens up mischief on that parcel of land where people can hide, people can be mischief. And we have no real access to it.
I was just thinking about Robert Frost and his poem, The Mending Wall, about good fences make good neighbors.
Yep. If the fence stays around, but I'm used to being a kid and I'm used to finding ways of getting around it.
I mean, from an environmental perspective, are there issues as well? Given that it's the North Fork?
Certainly.
Yeah.
We'll write some comments to address those and how it backs up to that conservation district, as well as North Fork Creek.
Yeah, I mean, until you see the engineering of how they're going to remove the water on this, you know it's all got to go downhill, and that is on the top, and ours is the slope down.
So E&S, stormwater.
Yeah.
Those are big issues.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think they'll ever get a permit to realign the North Fork. I don't think that'll ever happen.
Nope. Any more questions on this? You got enough? Okay. We'll move on then. The PD MOU discussion? You have any concerns, Chief?
No, sir. I was asked at the meeting, after I came back from the meeting, I missed that there was some questions about our response to out-of-town activity and current MOU status. So I'm prepared to address whatever questions that council sets forth. I have included in the council packet and handout 2 code sections that we can reference. One is 15.2, 1724, which outlines emergency responses outside of our jurisdictional limits, and then actually how far our current jurisdictional limits expand outside for non-emergency criminal cases, which is 300 yards, and that's in reference to Virginia Code 192250, which spells out how far your jurisdiction extends. And I can also answer any questions on MOUs that you may have.
So I don't know who raised the question back then, but is everybody satisfied with what we got here, or do you guys have any questions?
I can offer one more thing, that we do have an MOU in place with our counterpart law enforcement agencies. I cannot discuss the specifics of the MOU per code, but there is one in place, and it was established last year, signed by myself and the town manager, with the city or the town attorney vetting the agreement as well. So, but it is in place. Our guys are educated on it, and although I can't publicly comment on it individually, I could speak to anyone that wanted to ask certain questions, just not publicly.
Yep. I guess without detail, are there anything that gives a rule of thumb of what the service level of any type of service level agreements that are kind of agreed to?
Yes, it's a very well written MOU, and again, it was vetted. It's probably the best MOU that I've ever seen written, quite frankly. But it is a good MOU. It's in place, readily available, and readily to be exercised at any time. I mean, unless you want to go further individually, I feel that you all can trust it. My decisions, and especially the town managers, to act in good accordance with not only council, but with the town citizens and the community, and our equipment, and our people.
Anybody have any further questions? Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Now go into council member time. Start off with Vice Mayor Pater.
Thank you. So, wanted to say thank you to all of our Military Appreciation Month. Having a son in the military and coming from many generations of military, I do appreciate your service and sacrifice. I had the opportunity to speak at the hospital for honoring the volunteers, and I just want to make special note that Haymarket Hospital is looking for volunteers, so please let us know. I've got a contact for you. And then again, really appreciated Rich being here for Flags for Heroes. It's a beautiful event, and I'm looking forward to our Mother's Day event at the Farmers Market this Sunday, so look forward to seeing you all then. That's it.
Okay.
Did you reserve good weather?
Yes.
With Councilman Lee.
No additional comments, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Ramirez.
Thanks, Mayor. So looking ahead to this month, I do want to shout out that it is Teacher Appreciation Week this week. So if you have school-age children, or your neighbors, just give them a big thanks, because they work magic, man. Serious magic. And I do want to say Buckland Mills Elementary School had reached out to the town about donations for their auction, and their auction just closed. And the experiences that the town offered for auction raised well over $200. So you guys, thank you. Thanks for staff and chief for agreeing to all these great ideas and us allowing to help the schools out, because that money goes to things that aren't necessarily in the budget, like playgrounds and fun things like technology. So that's exciting. And then I'm excited about the garden open house on the 10th. I definitely look to be there. I love the farmer's market. I'm excited. I was sad that it didn't work out last weekend, but I think it was just a way of saying everyone needs rest, and rest is good. And then also, I am sad to say that the Willing Warrior Beautification Day is actually on Memorial Day weekend, and I will be out of town. So I am going to look forward to setting up a visit with them separately. So if you cannot make it that day, please link up with me, and we will figure out a time to visit them. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Passanello.
Oh, okay, that's right. So thank you for reminding me about Teacher Appreciation Week. I will make sure tomorrow morning that I talk to the teacher in our family and appreciate her. May is National Cancer Research Month. Life-saving research. Over 18 million people in the United States are living with, through, and beyond cancer. Then there's much more that we can do, but just wanted to make people aware of that. And it's also, unfortunately, Brain Cancer Awareness Month, this month in May. Tomorrow, Supervisor Weir mentioned it, QTS Open House tomorrow. I think it's a great idea for folks in our community to attend and, get some information about what's happening with the development of the data centers. I gather there will be a little bit of a counter meeting here tomorrow night, somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m. by those opposed to the data centers as well. So just want to make sure people are aware of that. Thank you, Pastor Brady, for your invocation, and our friends from Willing Warriors and the other speakers. Really appreciate the fact that they make the meetings really good and active. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Bayene.
I want to thank the town staff and chief for accommodating this new kid on the block with answering my questions and providing the information that I need. So I appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, for me, it's my turn. Not this weekend, but the next weekend I have the Mayor's Walk. This weekend I will try to make time to be here at the farmer's market so that if you have a Ask the Mayor question, you can address anything with me at the farmer's market. Other than that, thanks to all, and I'm done. Next item.
Move to, what's the words?
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's do it.
That was a good one. It's a good meeting.
It was pretty quick, too.